Today I'll be showing you how to patch a hole in your sheetrock, specifically using a butterfly patch. What's going on? Welcome to today's video. My name is Colton. Today I'll be demonstrating how to patch a hole in your sheetrock, specifically using a butterfly patch. This method will specifically work when you have a hole in your sheetrock and there's no structural support behind it. Because typically what you'll do is you'll take your sheetrock, if there's a hole, you'll clean up the hole a little bit, and then you'll take your new piece and then fasten that down to the 2x4. And if there's nothing back there and the hole isn't like massive, this is one way to repair the hole. Now, using the butterfly patch method, it doesn't matter how thick your sheetrock is that you're trying to patch. You can actually repair with a 3/8 inch or 1/2 inch sheetrock thickness, and you'll be good. Now, the tools that you'll need for this specific project is obviously your sheetrock that you're going to be patching, my drill, a utility knife, and I like to use a 6-inch wide putty knife, a bit set, my all-purpose joint compound or mud, my sanding block, and things that I don't show here are actually the paint that you're going to be using, texture, something to stir the paint, a brush, and roller. The time that it took me to complete this project was probably about 10 minutes, so let's get started. Remove anything that might be in the way, and in this case, this outlet cover. Grab the sheetrock that you're going to be working with, and I cut off any excess so that it doesn't get in the way. In this case, I planned for about 1 inch hangover from the actual area that you're going to be patching. Score the sheetrock a couple times and you can just break it apart. Flip it over to the front side and make sure you have a nice straight cut. Now, if you were to take your sheetrock and put it up to the hole, you'll see that there's going to be about 1 inch on each side hangover that you're going to use to keep your patched sheetrock in place and make sure that there's that structural integrity. You could really use this butterfly patch method for any hole as long as you clean it up a little bit. I've seen some people use circles, I've seen some people use squares, some people use rectangles. It's all up to you. Now I'm going to roughly cut out where the sheetrock is going to go inside of this hole in order to patch it up. Now you'll also want to make sure that you're cutting on the back side of the sheetrock. This is that brown side. Score this a couple times and make sure you have a nice clean cut without going too far and cutting the front of the sheetrock. Now what you're going to do is break the sheetrock. This piece of sheetrock is going to be in the way and you only want the front portion of the sheetrock because that's going to go onto the wall. So in order to make this really easy, I take my finger and I just kind of roll it off to try to make sure I have as much paper as possible. Now do it to all sides. Now essentially you have a sheetrock plug. Because the outlet is so close to this hole, I'm actually going to only have 3 out of 4 sides that are going to make up the butterfly patch. Grab your joint compound or mud and make sure you mix it up really well. You almost want the consistency of Cool Whip. Take your mud and you're going to apply a little bit on all of the sides of the patch. This is going to make it so it adheres to the wall a lot better. After that, you're going to want to take a little bit of mud and apply a thin coat around the edges of where the patch is going to go around the hole. And here's actually where my camera stopped recording. So essentially what you're going to do is take your patch that has mud on it and slip it in the hole. Because of the mud around the edges of the patch and the thin coat that you put on the wall around the edges, this is going to all stick together. I also decided to remove the outlet because that will get in the way. Now grab a bunch of mud and you're going to apply this on your patch and you're going to really just patch this whole thing over with mud. What I recommend doing is going from the center of the patch, scraping away to the edges, because that's going to take out some of that air and some of the excess mud that's on that thin layer that you applied on the wall that's in contact with the patch. So don't be afraid of the mud either, because this is a patch job and you're going to be sanding it later. Put on some mud, remove as much excess mud as you can while not exposing the patch. Let it dry, and if it doesn't look good, just sand it down and redo it. Let the mud dry for at least 24 hours, sand it down to make sure everything's smooth afterwards. Now also make sure you're paying attention to the texture around the patch on the wall. It may be an orange peel, it may be skip trowel. Really, there's so many different techniques out there. Try to match it as best as you can. Clean up the area from any dust or anything else, and also I put back the outlet. Head over to your paint can, make sure the paint is mixed very well, and if you don't have paint and you need to go match it, you can go to your local hardware store and get that matched. Apply the paint over the patched area, and I'm going to use a roller to give it that texture look. Let the paint dry for a few hours, put the outlet cover back on, replace anything else, and you're done. Thank you so much for checking out today's video. If you liked what you just watched, go ahead and click that like button and also subscribe. If you want to see other videos just like this one, go ahead and click this link right up here. And also don't forget to click on this icon to subscribe. If you have a different method that you use in order to patch a sheetrock hole, comment down below on what that is. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next time.